Hey everyone, and welcome back to Season 3 of the Bliss Bakery, where you'll get your wholesome slice of life. I'm Rachel.
And I'm Tash.
We are back with the podcast. For those who are returning listeners, thank you for coming back. And for new listeners, hello. This is a podcast about the relatable things in life, shared human experiences, and every episode I'll bring in a friend to chat about them with. I've got Tash here with me, back
Hi.
again.
Yes, this is my third time. What an honor.
You're seasoned now.
I know. I don't feel seasoned.
Today we are trying some new things. So firstly, if you are watching this in a video podcast, we are in a new location. And I also want to bring a bit more of a crafty side to this. So we're actually going to be doing a paint by numbers as we chat to facilitate the conversation.
This is going to test our multitasking skills.
Yeah, we're going to get really distracted probably. Yeah. This is either going to work out really well or it's not going to be good. So, Tash was one of my last episodes of the last season, which was us playing Are We Really Strangers, where you guys got to know her a little bit more and about how many speeding tickets she got. And you are back so soon. So, how is it going, Tash?
Great news. I haven't gotten a speeding ticket since we last spoke, so that's great.
Nice.
Parking tickets, different story.
Okay.
But I am doing well. I feel like a lot is happening at the moment. I don't know, just with work, with friends, people getting married.
Just so many.
All married, engaged. It's definitely the season.
Have you been to a few weddings already?
I've been to a few, but I actually went to one last week. Nat and Eric's.
Yeah.
So fun. It's just, I love. And it's just so nice to see your two friends that you've met along the way enter a new stage in their life. And it's just very surreal. It's just wild.
All right. So, Tash and I both work in the tech industry. And in the past few years, tech has been this roller coaster of a journey. So during COVID, we had this big tech boom where work was great. It was fun. It was easy. Everyone was just having such a good time, I feel like. And that's when we entered the workforce. But in the past year, I feel like all of that's kind of turned on its head a little bit with all the layoffs that have been happening, the focus back on revenue, the plunging stock value.
Yeah.
And a much more, I think, strict review of performance. I don't know if that's the case with where you're at right now, but that's definitely some of the things that we're seeing in the company I'm at.
Yeah.
So I thought that we would have a chat about work and tech and life and the tech depression, essentially.
Yeah. Yes. It's very much real. And I'm actually keen to share my 2 cents on it.
Oh, very good. Sounds spicy.
Yeah. Oh.
All right. So maybe we can start though with a bit of an intro in terms of where you are at currently, how you got into tech in the first place, because you came from a very non-traditional kind of tech background.
Yeah, that's right. I don't even know where to begin. The reason why it's non-traditional is because I never really saw myself in tech. I just wanted to do something businessy, but I knew that I liked talking to people, if that makes sense. I just didn't know what pathway that would really mean for me. But anyway,
what did you study?
Oh, great question. I studied a double degree, bachelor, commerce and information systems at UNSW. I actually started with a commerce and arts degree, but then I did 2 weeks in arts and I was like, this is not it. Anyway, so I think when you go to uni, a lot of the expectations are, get into the Big 4, do those internships. Not the expectation, but a lot of people around you love the internship experience, but I've never been one to like that corporate or that.
Dude, I'm the opposite of you. I went full into internships, so many back to back.
That's what I mean. I never did one internship.
Really?
At big accounting firms or whatever.
Yeah.
I actually really enjoyed marketing and I really enjoyed fashion. So my first internship was actually for this beauty makeup artist that I found on LinkedIn or something. And she just needed someone to help her launch her beauty product. It was like a tanning cream.
Oh, cool.
So I helped her kind of, I guess, put together some marketing promos, as well as learning a lot about New York Fashion Week and how she just plays in that space. And anyway, that job was actually based out in Bondi. So every week I would just drive myself to Bondi, and that's where I developed my love for the eastern suburbs.
Which we were just talking about before this.
Yeah. And then after that, I ended up at Elle magazine as a fashion assistant. Intern, something. So again, these are all non-paid roles. So I really took down the fashion path because I thought it was fun.
Yeah.
And my responsibilities there were to prepare the accessories and the bags.
Oh my God,
for
that's
shoots.
so fun.
Yeah, and I would, you know, Devil Wears Prada.
Yeah.
Where you get sent out to do the pickups of the Burberry and the Louis Vuitton and all these like high-end, like I would do that. And I thought it was so fun. Like some people say, she's like the person who does all the like dirty stuff for the, you know?
Yeah.
But I was like, this is so fun. I get to see all of the next season's collections. I get to like touch and feel and prepare and talk to models. And it was just so fun. And I feel like in your 20s, that's really important. But I didn't know if it was going to be my, you know, full-time job. But I think I just valued trying things that I liked. Why not?
Yeah.
Then after that, I actually started as an intern at Showpo. So again, on the fashion trend, but I wasn't working in fashion itself, like design. I actually got hired as an operations intern, but I got hired during a time where Showpo was undergoing a huge boom of growth. And so there were a lot of emails coming through from customers that needed to be addressed, like hundreds. And the customer service team, like, were not equipped to handle all of those in time. So I ended up being asked to join that team to help out. And then I ended up working in the customer service team as a casual. But then I had a really good relationship with my manager. I know this is a really long story about my, my
This
background.
is your life story.
My life career story.
Yeah.
But yeah, had a good relationship with my manager, and I told her I was really interested in data because I was studying data and doing all of that analysis at uni. And then she actually, without me even asking, put me forward to the CFO of Showpo to work as a data assistant. And so I worked as a data assistant for maybe like 2 months. I did some cool little projects with the CFO and the COO as well. And then I actually went away for exchange. And then I came back and then COVID hit. My plan was to actually get a job, but then I just took that year off and enjoyed life and played Oz Tag. I reached out to Rach and I was
Such
like...
a non-traditional life.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I didn't know, like, Big Four internship. I just didn't... I don't know. I knew it wasn't for me. From the different jobs I had done, I knew what I valued. And so when I came back from my exchange, I was just applying for jobs as anyone would. And funnily enough, when I was on exchange, I met someone who worked at Salesforce, and I didn't really know what that really meant at the time, but he was an engineer at Salesforce, and he was telling me he was doing recruitment. And then when I came back from exchange, I saw a job post for a grad role at Salesforce for a solution engineer. And here we are. Took a long while. But the point I wanted to, I guess, get across is sometimes you don't need to lock yourself into a traditional pathway when it comes to finding what you like and what you don't. I think when you're young, I think nowadays, there's more awareness around it. It's just do what you actually like to do and what you're curious about. Don't be scared about having to lock yourself into a company for like 6 years, blah, blah, blah.
I am actually such a big believer in that as well. But I feel like I had to learn the hard way instead of starting off on the right foot, kind of like you did. I did the thing and locked myself into a traditional career path and then realized I didn't like it. And so now, having had that experience, I'm like, yes, like do what you love. do what you're passionate about. And then I feel like money will come as a result of that as well.
Yes.
And I think the other thing is careers are like, they're so personal.
Yeah.
And essentially nowadays there's this big trend around jumping from career to career. And people feel like if they stay somewhere, they're complacent and they're like not moving forwards. But that should be okay as well. Like if you're happy somewhere, then you should feel free to stay there if you're growing.
Yeah. I think just being very mindful of how happy you are in your job and knowing that there are options out there. You just have to be open. I feel like a counselor.
A motivational coach.
Well, I'm not qualified for that, but that's just my experience. But yeah, I think I should explain what my job is because I feel like it's not that common and I think more awareness should be raised around my job.
Yeah.
So I am a solution engineer. It sounds very fancy. I'm not an engineer in any sorts. I'm very bad at math. But we sit in the department of sales, but more specifically pre-sales. But essentially how I like to explain it to people is like, imagine you're sick. You go into a GP, see a GP, and the GP asks you a bunch of questions to kind of diagnose what's wrong with you. So I'm kind of like that GP where I'm asking you questions to really understand what's going on, what's working, what's not. And then at the end, I prescribe a solution for you. And that solution is Salesforce CRM. The reason why solution engineers exist is like, imagine if you have really complex requirements. Sometimes you need that extra layer of customizability and personalization to really help a sale. So that's where I come in.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's really fun, honestly. I love talking to customers and just listening about what they do and what they're struggling with. So yeah.
And I think it is cool to highlight there as well, like not all of working in tech means you have to code or be an engineer or like do maths and that kind of thing. Like in the last few years when there was the big tech boom, a lot of people wanted to get into tech and they were like, but I don't have a coding background. Like, can I work in tech? And I think it's like important to remember that tech is an industry. There's many verticals within that industry.
Yes.
And you could do like marketing in tech, you could do HR in tech, you could do finance, etc.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like you said, technology is a industry. So there are many different avenues to actually get into tech. So you can experience some of the benefits that tech companies do offer.
All right, let's talk about those benefits. Great segue. So when you first joined, like when we both first joined tech, it was really good, I would say. It was at its almost height of just perks and work-life balance and that sort of thing. So what was it like when you joined as a grad?
Surprisingly enough, I joined at the back end of that. It was just the transitioning period from when tech was like super fun and all of that to a lot of my benefits were stripped of me. Not all of them, but just for example, a lot of tech companies, when you join, you get to go to, I think it's kickoff, and you get to go overseas to the headquarters to actually experience that. Now, because I joined in 2021.
Okay, just after COVID.
Just after COVID, I actually could not go to kickoff in San Francisco, which is a huge hyped up thing at Salesforce.
Yeah.
So I actually didn't get to experience that, which was the biggest thing that a lot of people like look forward to. And it's not just me who experienced that. It's like now they don't even run it. So we actually we don't even get flown over. Regardless, lots of other benefits. For example, the kitchen. Wild. The snacks we get are wild.
I feel like it's become the norm as well. It's expected. If you like work in a tech industry, you need to have free food. Like, people are so spoiled, but
we are spoiled.
If it's not there, then I'm not sure.
That's true, but I also think that's because with tech, it's a newer industry, right? So there's more emphasis on like well-being, and workplace culture.
Oh yeah.
When you compare it to older industries such as banking.
Yeah.
I don't even know if you have snacks.
No. I think someone was saying they work in a more traditional industry and they were like, we get like biscuits or like, we don't even get fruit in the kitchen. And I'm like,
that's just doesn't seem fun to me. But, sometimes you can't have everything.
I realized how spoiled I was recently because Mon sent me this TikTok where there were these people reviewing snacks from different offices, and
Yeah.
my office was one of them. And they were like, oh, there's ice cream, there's like hot food at lunch, there's breakfast drinks and all this stuff. And they were like, yeah, like 8.5 out of 10 or something. And I replied to her and I was like, nah, our snacks are trash because after 2 p.m, there's nothing. It's terrible. And then I was like, why am I complaining?
I still have snacks.
Yeah.
Some people
They don't even have biscuits.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
food is definitely a
Yeah.
great motivator and fun to have. What else? One thing that I find not relevant to me, but I find parental leave really good and
Oh my
flexible.
God, it's so good.
It's so good. So I have my manager, love her. She went on maternity leave recently, and you get paid the whole time you're on maternity leave, and I think she gets like 9 months or something.
Oh my God, that's so good.
I might be wrong, but you get a long
I think we
time.
get 6 months at full pay, but then you can extend it to like 2 years, but then it'll be less, like a percentage of the pay.
Yes, I think something
Yeah.
similar to that.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, look, I'm not looking to have a family anytime soon, but goodness me.
Yeah.
like, that is wild.
Yeah.
It's just, as a female.
Same as for the dad, I think.
I think you also get the same, like somewhat of the same benefit, maybe less
Yeah.
months off,
Yeah.
but yeah, you still get paid and you can share. it.
Crazy, yeah.
Just I guess like one less thing to be stressed about when you are starting a family or having a kid.
It's kind of interesting as well because a lot of people in tech, when they joined, they would have been pretty young grads as well. And a big majority are in that early 30s age now.
Yeah.
And I feel like in my team, there are so many people having babies. I don't know if this is for you though, because we've had like maybe 6 or 7 teammates announce pregnancies or things like that over the next 6 months or so. So like there's always someone who's off on paternity or like maternity leave at any time.
Yes, there are quite a few. I'm thinking about them now. I'm like, wow, there are actually quite a lot of. How fun! More babies to be bringing in.
Yeah. I think one of the best benefits that I can remember from our team in the last few years was just during COVID time. They were really conscious that people were getting burnt out, being like locked in all the time. And so one thing that they did was a team day off every month.
Yes!
Did you have that?
Yes!
It's so crazy.
Wellness day.
I am still shocked that they did that. Like for a year, we had an extra 12 days off.
Yes. When I think about it now,
makes
that
no
is
sense.
wild.
Yeah.
The amount of long weekends I'd have and the amount of trips I went on from Friday to Sunday last year was absolutely mental, but it was so good for my mental health.
So good.
I miss those days. Oh,
I'm
yeah.
like, how? It doesn't even make sense. There was no research backing that like one day off would be better productively
No.
for like the team or anything.
Nah.
And it just kept going for a while. And we were like, should we mention? Do we ask if it's still a thing or do we just keep taking them?
Oh, so good.
Yeah.
But yeah, those privileges are now non-existent because we need to work.
Yes. So let's then talk about how things have changed since then, or like in the more recent years, what it's been like. Because we still definitely have some of the really good benefits that are more long lasting, like the maternity leaves,
Yeah.
the food still exists.
Yes.
But yeah, how have things changed over the past year or so?
Definitely the layoffs that happened earlier
Yeah.
in the year. It came off the back end of a lot of tech companies doing really well during COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And then, for example, perhaps they overhired or, yeah, they just thought they were going to be on that high for a lot longer. But then, the layoffs happened and I lost quite a few friends there.
Yeah.
Across different companies as well. It's a really tough time.
Yeah.
And I remember being really stressed about it because I was on a flight to Vietnam and I landed and I was like, will I still have a job when I land?
Oh my
I have
God.
no idea.
That is scary.
It was, but I think that definitely was a wake-up call to just say, tech is still like any other industry.
It's not just fun and games and
No.
you can do whatever you want and you get paid really well and like everything's golden.
Yeah.
We actually have to work.
You do have to work and we have to make sales
Yeah.
and we have to do well. And I think, that was just a lot that happened. But that might have made our work culture more performance-based. I think it's a good change, just putting some more regulations on tech, to be honest.
Yeah.
But it's definitely a change. It does feel like you have eyes on you a bit more, which I guess is a bit unsettling, but also it's just perspective, right? You can look at it as that or finding that internal motivation to do better. I don't mind it, just a bit of extra pressure.
But I think there is something to be said around, like, I do feel that when people are happier and, like, they just don't feel as much of that pressure, maybe it's just a group of people that really thrive in that. Like, they do better as a result. Whereas when you have this heavy feeling of, oh, I'm doing this because there's leadership eyes, there's pressure, like there's gonna be negative consequences if you don't do this thing, then I think that negative anxiety makes you work less productively.
That's also true. I think it's just learning how to navigate changes and learning how to be adaptable in this climate in general. Like, if we look at the state of the economy right now, it's just very volatile. And I think it's a good life skill.
I don't know if you heard this a lot, but I remember during the last couple of months or so, like the last year, the most common phrase is, in this macroeconomic environment, blah, 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 blah.
Yep, the state of the economy, and you're just like, yeah, but why is it making my life that much harder to close a deal? Please.
Please just buy.
Please. It's true though. I've heard and used those phrases.
Yeah, same. Sometimes I'll use it in a meeting and I'm like, this is so cliche, but I don't even know what else to say right now. Like, it is what it is.
It is what it is. It be what it be. But look, nothing is forever. I'm hoping the economy will,
improve. I think it's because this is the first time our generation has faced some kind of downturn like this.
We've been spoilt.
Yeah. So it suddenly feels, there's this shock of like, I have to work hard now. I actually have to do shit and be accountable for it. And prices are rising and you just feel like life is just not as easy as when you're a kid.
No. Yeah. I think it's a combination of everyone like our age or in their 20s just shifting into the next chapter of their life, combined with all these economic terrors issues. Like inflation the housing market.
Oh my goodness,
Did you know that Sydney is now more expensive than New York? Did you see that?
Really?
The affordability in Sydney is now worse than New York. And I was like, there was a time where I had a pipe dream of working in New York for the pay experience, that big city life, and now I'm just like,
now you have a pipe dream living in Sydney.
Yeah, I'm just like living in Sydney, but now like it's so expensive.
You might as well move to New York.
Yeah, but there are rats there. I don't really like that anymore.
Metaphorical rats or real rats?
Real rodents scrambling on the streets, which doesn't appeal to me anymore.
Yes, I see.
And also like workplace culture varies with country. As well.
And Australia is so good.
Australia.
Even with where we're at right now, it's still miles better than probably anywhere else.
Yeah.
What is the state of the economy right now? We keep referring to it, but like, what's going on?
Well,
Why did we rise so high and then fall so low?
Well, I am no economist. No. Just to preface that.
We weren't really here to discuss the economy, but now that we're in this conversation.
You know what? This is the next Big Short. This is the Big Short. What's his name? I forgot his name. Well, I'm that
the guy
dude
who predicted it.
Yeah, I am him. But I just think a result of a number of things, supply chain issues, war, Ukraine and Russia, COVID, inflation, just prices increasing everywhere, shortage of petroleum, which means higher gas. During COVID, you couldn't really travel, so immigration was at a standstill, and now that we're opening borders again, we've got an influx of people moving to Australia, which means population booming, not enough housing supply, which means our housing market, which means affordability crisis, which means There aren't many homeowners compared to people renting because people just cannot afford it. Interest rates. I could go on, but it's terror. It is terror out here. And it's honestly, I was talking to a friend about this, thinking about trying to buy a property in 10 years' time or even like the next few years is, is it possible? Don't know.
Yeah. And I feel like with tech, one of the things was that during COVID, I think the need for software and tools increased a lot because everyone became remote.
Yeah.
And so tech actually had this huge boom. I remember there was a peak around COVID years where our stock price went to like 450 from 190 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And I didn't sell. I'm an idiot.
That's okay. Nor did I.
And then since everything's been coming back to normal and the interest rates and everything, I think now people are kind of starting to cut back on all the tools that they bought during COVID. And with tech companies, because they were keeping up with that kind of growth at the time, they hired a lot more people with expecting that like demand was going to continue kind of going in that direction. And then everything kind of went the other way. And so that's probably as a result, we've had all these layoffs happening in the last few years.
Really sad. But I just think it's essential in life, and like life is just different cycles. We go through different cycles, like the recession. Wait, what was it? Not the Great Depression. Wait, is it the Great Depression? The global recession. Wait, the one that happened in like the early 2000s, wasn't it? Or like
the big short one.
Yeah. Mind. But yeah, like it happens, and it just happens in cycles, and it just happens to be now when we're in our 20s, and probably happened when our parents were like in their 20s or 30s. Yeah. So it's bound to happen. Life comes in cycles, but it's how you are resilient to it and prepare yourself.
Oh my God, you're such a motivational speaker.
Am I? Oh, I'm just talking out of my ass. that again, really good skill to have if you're in sales.
I just want to get back to the good times.
Oh, don't we all? Remember when Boost was like $4?
No. I've always thought of it as like, how much is it now?
Like, no.
Over 10?
I think it's like $9. I remember when it was $7, and I think it's now $9. Dude. I don't even drink Boost anymore because I'm like, oh.
When Meat Fresh was like $5.
Yeah.
And now it's like 13.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. One day Meat Fresh is going to be like $20.
Is this us getting old?
Yes. But I just can't imagine like young kids nowadays going out and doing things that they want, because how did they afford life?
True.
Like back in the day, a moochie would be like $6 or $5, and now you go to Yochi, and I think I pay like an arm for a Yochi, but Yochi's so good.
It's so good. It tastes more healthy.
Yeah, it does. There's actually a difference. I feel not sponsored, but please sponsor. But I just think about how do we afford these? Anyway, this is like drifting into like a rant of like this damn economy. But
let me bring it back on topic then. I did have a link, which was like the timeline of all the tech layoffs that happened.
Yeah.
That was a scary time for all of us, I reckon. So like the first one was Amazon laid off 18,000 employees.
Yes.
Was that the beginning?
I think so.
And then Salesforce to cut 8,000 in restructuring plan.
Yep, that's right. Because our layoffs happened around.
Yeah. So what was it like when it was announced in your company?
A lot of grim faces. I mean, like, I don't think layoffs would ever really mean people like, woo!
But how did they announce it as well?
I think it was an email. We also use Slack. I wouldn't be surprised if there was like a Slack announcement from it. Or it would be your managers approach you and kind of tell you the laydown of what's going to happen. And even managers themselves didn't know much at that time because everyone was kind of kept in the dark. Obviously, only people really at the top knew what was going to happen and how it was going to happen. Mm-hmm. So, it was very frightening because no one had an idea of what was going to happen and how it would. How the layoffs kind of happened is like we knew there was a date. It was like an email at the specific time that would go out to X amount of people. And the time, I just remember I wasn't in the office for the first announcement when it hit my department, the solution engineering department. But I remember there was a time where there was the sales teams that were affected, and it was grim. It was so silent on the levels. Everyone had their head down. Like everyone, you could feel the energy just shift because the time was getting closer to what we anticipated was that moment we would get the email, and it's just so sad.
The anxiety of like waiting for the email as well is just scary. Yeah. And I've heard companies they put like a calendar invite in your calendar for your manager to talk to you.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, am I going to get the invite? Am I going to get the invite?
Yeah. We had very much the same thing. Yeah. Like if you got that calendar invite or the email,
then you know it meant
it was just scary. But I think personally, I just was like, look, if I get laid off, that's okay. I'm still very young and I can pick up where I left off somehow. But I thought about the people who have families who depend on this stream of income, or who have mortgages that they need, like just people who are in, I guess, more dire situations than me. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was just like, for me, I couldn't. I was like, it's fine. I'll just take the severance pay and, travel because I'm young.
Yeah. I did read about the redundancy packages, and obviously I wouldn't have wanted to be laid off, but looking at some of those within tech as well, from like Salesforce, from our own company, it was like, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
I could take a 4-month holiday and just, do my own thing for a little while and just really experience life.
Use that money, put it towards a home deposit.
Like,
go
honestly,
to Europe.
Wouldn't mind.
Yeah, I was like, you know what? I've never been to Europe. I'm going to take that money and go, but I'm still here, so it's fine. And I still haven't been to Europe.
Yay. I don't want to get laid off.
Please, no.
Please don't listen to this and let me off.
Please, no. I just love my job.
I do. When our company had the announcement, I think it was 600 people, so a lot less. And I think we also, I don't know if they told us which specific functions. It ended up being HR, like research, data, program management, that side of things. So there weren't many layoffs in like engineering or product and that sort of stuff. But they also did the email. I honestly don't remember being like too concerned at the time of like whether I would have my job or not. But then the morning of, they actually sent everyone an email. And the email would either say your role has been impacted, or your role has not been impacted. But the problem was the email line was too long, like the title was too long, that it got cut off. So my email read, your role has not. And I was like, has not what? Like,
the suspense
is no longer necessary.
That's scary.
The second I got that, I was like, and then I opened and I was like, all right, it has not been impacted. Okay, cool.
Cool.
Yeah,
breathe.
But I know like we had a lot of people, because our culture is very blog heavy. Like people will write blog posts and share them publicly. Internally, because we use Confluence. Yeah. So then we had all like the blog posts coming out talking about like for people who had been laid off and their experience and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think I had one friend who was laid off, and then I was asking her, "Oh, what are you going to do now?" And she was like, "You know what? I think I'm just going to work in a cafe for a bit and just chill out." And I was like, "Sounds kind of good."
Yeah. Almost a luxury you could have.
If you can do that.
If you can.
Yeah, if you have the option to.
Do you work well in cafes?
Oh no, like she was actually like working at the cafe.
Working
waitress
as like a
like barista or something. And I was like, that is awesome.
It would be cool to
like
explore different things that you normally wouldn't, because you're prescribed to whatever you've signed yourself up to.
Yeah, it's kind of like you get a little experience of an alternate life that you might have lived.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds cool.
Yeah.
What do you reckon you would have wanted to work in?
If I wasn't in tech?
Like if you had that brief moment of like, I can do anything. What do I do?
I really like creative things.
Yes,
so
you do.
This kind of stuff, production, video production, photography, graphic design, that kind of... I'm really bad at design though, actually. But I like it. So maybe I would spend more time getting better at that.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. What would you do?
The first thing that came into my head was like something unrealistic, but I've always been interested in like musical theatre performances
gosh,
and like
cool.
coordinating like those big shows. And I wonder, like when you see, for example, The Weeknd or Taylor Swift, and they have these cool concerts. I'm like, I'd be so down to design what that would be and orchestrate that. Like orchestrate a festival.
So cool.
That would be so cool. Anyway, that's so unrealistic though. Like I'd need industry
think so.
experience. You'd need experience.
Yeah, I guess you would.
You'd need connections, etc.
Yeah, but you would like start somewhere, I guess. And
Yeah.
I don't know, I feel like your organizational skills translate very nicely to like, it's not event management though, is it? It's a set design sort of stuff. Like
It's kind of like the producer of a TV show or something. Kind of just oversight of how everything is flowing. And unrealistic though. I'm in tech.
What about realistically?
Oh.
Aren't you interested in real estate?
Yeah. Took the words right out of my mouth. Yes, I would have probably gone down the route of real estate, to be honest. So maybe if I had more time, I'd be more innovative in thinking of solutions. I don't know what that would entail, but
I think there's a lot of opportunity because just having gone through the process of buying or like even looking at renting, it's just painful.
yes. And I also think there's a lot of money and innovation happening in this space. I'd definitely do something that's customer facing or product development.
That's quite a natural progression as well. Like it's not unrealistic.
Yeah. That's why it's my realistic goal.
I see.
Rather than my dream to be a festival or
festival
concept
producer.
coordinator. Definitely stretching
you
that
can
one.
make that one happen as well.
Yep, give me many, many years.
Speaking of then, I guess, like it's no secret, I think that tech has pretty good salary for what you do, the hours that you put in. And part of that is the stocks that you get.
Yes.
So in the past few years, how have your stock prices looked?
Great question. So I didn't get like a set amount of stocks when I joined the company. It was more as a nomination of a percentage of my income that would go and set aside towards stocks.
At a discounted price.
At a discounted price, which is nice because then you already earn X amount on top of it. At first, I nominated the maximum amount, but now since my life priorities have changed, I've minimized that and wanted just more cash in my bank. The performance has varied. I remember when I first joined the company, it was great, and then it went shot down and it hurt a bit, but I wasn't at the company long to actually feel the consequences.
Yeah.
But then I think now it's on a steady path.
Upwards?
Yeah,
That's good.
steady upwards. What about you?
It's been a bit of a roller coaster.
Yeah.
So when I joined, I think it was like at 190-ish.
Oh my God, how do you remember this? I don't remember what I had last week for dinner. Like, what?
I pay very close attention to my stocks.
Oh, I have a set and forget kind of cow.
No, not to me. So for us, it's actually quite complicated, I guess, because like we get given stocks, and so it actually counts as income for us. So then you get income taxed on it. The strategy, I think, with a lot of the people in my company is to sell about 40% of your stocks that vest, because that will cover the tax return that you have to pay in the next year.
Oh.
So you're really like not making money off that amount that you're selling and getting out.
Oh.
But then you're also not eating into your own savings to pay off tax returns the following year.
So then do you even benefit much?
Well, you gain the rest, the 60% that you don't sell.
Oh, yeah.
And like some people may choose to just sell that all and then put it straight into an index fund.
Oh.
So it's a bit more stable.
Yeah.
And I think like that way as well, you're less emotional when it comes to selling your stocks, because you're not timing the market exactly, but you're just like selling a certain amount, and then over time the average is supposed to be like higher than if you were trying to just time the market.
For me, the reason why I didn't max it out, other than the fact that I wanted more cash in my account, was the fact that I don't think you should put all your eggs in one basket. I think you should definitely diversify if you can, because
It's essentially like you're investing in a single stock.
yeah, which is it is.
But at the same time for us, we have trading windows. So like I think it's every 3 months, a month window opens. That's when you can sell it. And so I will look for the best time to sell it during that month.
Yeah.
But then I will also just make sure that I sell every time it opens. Just in case.
Interesting.
Because you don't know whether it's going to go up or down, really.
That's true. We don't have every 3 month. We have a every 6 month trading.
Oh,
Yeah, so it
that's
doesn't.
way less.
Yeah, way less.
So anyway, back to where it was. It was at 190.
Oh.
And then I think when I joined for like the first 2-3 years, it just continuously crept up. It was like 190 and then it was 230 and I was like, oh, that's good.
Yeah.
And then it was 270 and then it was like 300 and everyone was going to the moon. And like, I just didn't know to sell them either. I didn't know that strategy at the time.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I'll just hold them. I won't even look at them, whatever. I'll sell them in like 20 years.
Yeah.
And then it got to like 450 at a peak.
That's crazy.
And I was like, I am rich. Basically what I had quadrupled.
That's
I was like,
wild.
I was literally like, I could buy anything I want right now. Like,
That is
I have so much money.
Yeah.
But technically none of that was actually money in my pocket because I
Yeah,
hadn't sold
sold
it.
it.
So it was like just fake money out there. The next year or so after that, it dropped a little to like 300s again. And people were like, oh, we'll wait for it to go back up again. And then it just kept going down.
You're like,
During this whole, I guess like the whole past year, it had gone to like 200 and then it went to 190 and then it went to like 120.
Oh, yeah, same.
I was like, I'm so poor. I lost all my money.
Yeah, we really had a boom
So
during
sad.
COVID. Everyone was cheering during COVID around those prices, but I was dumb and didn't do anything about it.
But now it's creeping back up again and I've learnt my lesson and I'm like, no, I'm not going to wait for it to just go up, up, up. I'm just going to sell it when I can.
Especially when it's part of your income and you're going to get it anyway, right?
Yeah. So. The problem now is kind of when it vested at that really high price, you get taxed on that. But when you sell it, you lose money because it's worthless.
I remember when you were talking about this and I was like, that hurts.
Yeah.
I'm scared. I don't want to look at mine anymore. I don't want to think about it.
So yeah, it's been a roller coaster with stocks for me.
Yeah, but again, one of the great privileges we have.
Oh yes, very much so.
Definitely a privilege.
Yeah.
And it's just sometimes can't believe all the benefits you get.
Oh yeah.
In tech.
Yeah. As low as we say it is right now, it's still pretty good.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All things in perspective.
There are people struggling out there. There are people below the poverty line.
Yeah.
But the thing is you can always say this stuff as well, right?
That's
so
true.
like we can only make a comparison relative to like the life that we've experienced.
True. We'll all be okay in the long run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We need to, I guess I need to re-listen to the previous podcast episode I did with Davo. The tough times never last.
Tough times never last. Tough
Only
people
tough people do. What about culture in the office? You said that it's a bit more performance-based now. It's a bit more like focused, I guess. Do you feel like the culture has changed that much?
Yeah, there are definitely a lot more KPIs or just metrics to do with performance, which I again think is healthy because it means people are kept accountable. And I think solution engineering is a really nice space to be in, honestly. You have sales, which is quite stressful. Their pay is predominantly based on commissions and how much they close, which is stressful.
Yeah.
Especially in an economy like this.
Yeah.
You probably won't be earning as much as you did during COVID, right? Pre-sales is nice because, well, for me, I work off a team number and team performance, and not necessarily just my team, but like an APAC number and how much we perform and do well.
Yeah, I think like in our team, maybe I felt it more drastically as well because I've been working on a new product in the first few years. Yeah. And so we were in this new product program. We were really protected from quarterly planning, goals, revenue, all that sort of stuff. It was just like, yeah, you guys figure out how to make your product work and like explore as much as you need.
Yeah.
And that was really nice because it literally just felt like we were talking to customers, we were building things, we were just testing and seeing what worked, and like sometimes things didn't work and it was like, okay, we'll do the next thing then. Since I guess everything happened in the last few years, the new products program actually ended up being parked and we had to graduate into a proper like business unit. And so we have a lot more accountability now as well on hitting certain department goals, and it feels very different, I think, to being in La La Land, being able to just do whatever. So maybe I feel that pressure more just because of our situation now. I know in the past year as well, some of these newer tech companies have also changed the way that they address performance. In terms of, there's like a stack ranked scale. I think this is public information. But essentially what they do is everyone in the company will be ranked on a scale of like 1 to 5.
Oh.
But I think it's also, it's a stack ranking. So like not everyone can be 5. There has to be a certain percentage of people who are the top X percent, and those people are the 5s. But that also means then some people will be the 1s. And so there is a little bit more of that pressure there of like, you don't want to be the 1 because then you go on performance improvement plans, or like you have the potential to be let go, that sort of thing. And especially when there's layoffs and things happening, that's when it's even scarier.
Yeah. Seeing your name at the bottom of a leaderboard or like that kind of ranking
terrifying.
is terrifying.
Yeah.
Sometimes things are out of your control and you don't want to be there, but
yeah. Like at the end of the day, even though we're in tech, I think it's really easy to forget because things are so nice and like laid out for you that it's still a business and it's not there to exist for you to have a great time in life.
Yes. As much as it's nice that we have
it's
all
just
of
a
it.
byproduct.
Yes.
Yeah, so a lot of change has happened.
Yeah.
And every week there was a period where we would be like, change is just the norm.
Oh, yes.
Every Friday there's a new announcement and everyone's like, oh, everything's changing again, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I think there's a saying that goes around, not goes around, but it's said a lot, and it's the only constant is change.
Yes.
The amount of times I have heard that, I'm like, it's so true.
Get used to it, yeah.
Sometimes I wonder if it's just us experiencing this now, or was there a time where it was like that as well? You know?
Yeah.
I just feel like ever since I've started working, there's just so much change.
Yeah.
And like, you know, freaking coronavirus as well. It's just such a weird world phenomena. Like, how
there were several times I thought during COVID, like, this is the weirdest moment of my life. Everyone is just inside and this is the new norm.
And like people were working from home.
Yeah.
Like, what? Now we're spoiled and we only want to work from home.
My manager, when I first joined as a grad, used to work from home once a week, and I'd be like, oh my God, that's such a luxury. Like, that's amazing. And now it's every day.
Yeah. I never had to go into the office every day. I never lived that lifestyle. Oh. So I've only been spoiled.
No way. Yeah.
It only goes downhill from here.
Yeah. I used to have customer interviews at 8 a.m. and I would go in every day. And so I would have to like go in, catch the early train to get into the office at 8 a.m. so then I could have the rest of my day there.
That is...
I was like, I would never do that now.
Nope.
There's no way.
Nope. And, is your company mandating like return to office?
No.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah. I think there's been a lot of positive outcomes from it as well. It seems to be working. I like going into the office and I would like other people to be in the same office at the time I am.
Yeah.
But I also want to be able to choose whether I go in or not.
Yes. I think you can always just be like, I'm going into the office today. Anyone want to come? And I feel like, I think my team does that really well.
The team makes the job. Really.
The people, 100%. So important, I think, when you're young, just surround yourself with people who you look up to, people who can help you, guide you. Obviously, that in itself is a privilege because you don't find that everywhere sometimes.
I tend to find people seem to be very open and like accepting of diversity.
People have this preconception that, we talked about this, how if you are in tech, you kind of need some kind of tech background.
Yeah.
When I applied for my grad role, there was a disclaimer where it doesn't matter what background you're from. So the grad group that I came through with, which I love all of them very dearly, there were so many different backgrounds. I don't know, it's just like they don't discriminate. And I think that's really, really important.
One thing that I do notice though is like, what do you think of the people who kind of gatekeep tech and they're like, oh, you don't actually work in tech. Like you're not coding, you're not an engineer, like you're in sales and marketing in tech. It's so toxic.
It's toxic, but it's also like, okay, you do you. I'm still going to be employed at this company. Like I'm going to still pursue what I want. You have your own opinions and don't fall prison to those that are very closed-minded.
It's again why we point out it's an industry. People just have very strange logic.
Yeah.
So much logic
But I
sometimes.
think that mentality is in more than just tech, right? In the fashion community or even in the influencer community, just trying to gatekeep things because, oh, you're not good enough. It's just energy you don't want to be around. I think one thing that is really good at Salesforce, or in my team in particular, everyone's very kind and willing to help. If you can be one of those people and help someone else, then why not?
I think I've read somewhere like the way to think about being more successful in your own path is to, rather than focus on yourself, focus on making other people as successful as possible.
Yeah. I actually love mentoring. When I finished being a grad, one of the things that I wanted was another grad so I could like mentor them. But then they stopped the grad program. I was like, no, my little minion. But I started mentoring some sales people recently.
Yeah.
And it's just so fun because just sometimes I'm like, I'm only 25 years old. There's like that meme advising someone who's like 60 years old and you're like a 25-year-old with what? And I'm like,
The ones where there's the kid with the Nemo. Like, where's my dad? And it's like me having to make a decision as a 26-year-old teenager.
I've seen that on Insta. And I'm just like, is this right?
That's me.
Yeah.
That's literally me.
Part of imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
We all get it.
It's kind of nice as well to be at that stage where in the first few years you were that grad and now you're at the stage where you can help someone else who you can remember being in that position in.
Yes, that's the exact feeling because I remember when I was a grad, there were so many people willing to help me and take them under their wing and mentors and just, they were just so excited to have me there and bring me along in things, and I just want to return that favor to others.
That's lovely. One weird thing I guess that's happened is as like the economy has been dropping.
Yeah.
The one thing that's kind of holding it all together is this random rise of AI.
Oh my God.
It's kind of like this shining light where like everything is shrinking,
Yeah.
but it's actually growing because suddenly there's all this opportunity that's unlocked through AI, and like you see all these AI startups popping up out of nowhere.
Yeah.
So I want to know your opinion on that as someone who is in tech.
Great question. It's everywhere in Salesforce at the moment. We're doing a lot of R&D and we're investing a lot of money into how we can incorporate artificial intelligence into our products. It's really cool to see, but it's frightening because I personally don't feel like I'm up to date with the amount of innovation and development that's happening in
I
AI.
have no idea what's happening.
And sometimes I'm like, oh, okay, I feel caught up. And then something happens and I'm like, okay, I don't know what's going on anymore. And I just feel like it's just going to be this game of just catch up on everything. But there are some people who are really good at incorporating AI and utilizing it in their everyday lives.
Like ChatGPT, like to write stuff.
Yeah. And I've seen people use it in our work. For example, I was working on this deal where I didn't understand the industry. And so my colleague ChatGPT to give us a rundown of what that process in that industry is. And I was like, that is like honestly such a good way to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is a bit scary in terms of like how much it can automate in a workforce as well, like which jobs are at risk, that sort of thing. Would you say sales engineering is at risk of AI? No. Not as much because you need a human touch with those sorts of interactions, right?
Yes, definitely. Well, there's the element where there are things that will always require human touch and there are things that aren't. And I do believe where you can definitely make things more efficient. If we think about it from a bigger lens, AI might, for example, get rid of jobs, but the jobs that might open as a result might not necessarily be to do with AI. It could just be new roles to do with efficiency. Who knows? It doesn't have to be like you need to know AI to do this. Everything is in equilibrium and something will free up or be innovated to create more jobs.
It's a hopeful take.
Oh yes, I'm very hopeful
Optimistic.
and optimistic, and it sometimes eats me in the ass or bites me in the ass. What? But you know, who knows?
It's good.
If you look for the light, you'll eventually find it.
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to find my ring that I dropped.
Any final thoughts?
Like everything, there are some really great things about tech that are wonderful and should be appreciative of, because it's definitely a luxury, but it's not always all daisies.
Sometimes it's ombre flowers.
Yeah, sometimes it's ombre flowers like this ugly one that I've painted. But I think applying it to life, there are ups and downs, and it's all about how you rise from that and the mentality you have as you're working through it, because that's what's going to get you through the day. It's not your manager, it's not your friend, although they can be conducive to that. It's ultimately how you deal with it, and you have to depend on yourself. But it's okay to ask for help.
Be your rock.
Yeah.
Be your own rock.
Be your rock. Don't be locked into a traditional pathway. And do what makes you happy.
Thank you.
That's okay.
Thank you so much for joining me today, and thank you to everyone for listening to us ramble about tech and the recent years in it.
Yes.
Remember to tune in every Wednesday for the sugar, the spice, and everything that's nice in life with the Bliss Bakery. And we'll see you next time.
See you.
Bye.